Well, good evening, everybody over in India, and good morning here in United States, and whatever part of the world you are in. Just want to welcome everybody to this webinar where we're going to be talking about the effects of COVID on the apparel industry. And just want to welcome everybody, and it's going to be a great time. And as we talk about what's going on today, before we do that, I want to introduce our esteemed panel of people from around the world who are going to be participating in the discussions today. So can we get the creative slide, please?
Yeah, yeah.
I want to start with introducing Mr. Greg Ruggles here, who is CEO of multiple companies over in the United States and primarily been a big buyer and big reason for the growth of Walmart in the United States. And he is been involved with multiple industries, but basically been involved in the apparel side and buying and distribution and uh, being the bridge between the United States and other parts of the world. A lot to do with China and other parts of the world. And so he's going to be joining us as an international panelist. The second person that I would like to introduce is Dr. A. Shaktivel, who is on our panel today too. And Dr. A. Shaktivel is a Padma Shri awardee, and he is also the chairman for uh, for the council, and he's going to be joining us today with his immense background from the field of apparel. And he has been the fourth time again he's become the chairman of AEPC, and he has immense background in this space. So we're really excited to be able to be hearing from him today, and to know what he has to say about uh, the current scenario in our industry. The next person on the panel is Dr. Vashisht, and Dr. Vashisht is the CEO for the media for the Sector Scale Council for apparel and makeups and home furnishing, and he has an immense background in the same field with working with the industries, creating trainings, making sure people are assessed properly, and he's become a great source for a lot of apparel companies around and within India, and to help with all of the ins and outs and HR and all the other details. So happy to have Dr. Vashisht on our panel too today, and I think this is going to be a great time. If you have questions, please ask us in the comment box, and I will try to accommodate whatever questions you might have, and we will go from there. But at this time, I would just like to first ask my first question. Um, and this is going to be off of Mr. Greg Ruggles. Greg, I would like to know what has been the effect of COVID on the apparel industry internationally, and what do you see, uh, might be the changes coming in the near future? Because, when this all started, people thought this is going to be gone in about a month or two, but that hasn't been the case. And so we would like to know what is the international scenario as of right now. You can talk about US, and also, with your expertise in South Africa and all the other countries that you've been involved in. I mean, you can bring up some of the international things too. So we would like to know your what is the current scenario internationally?
Well, thanks, Abraham, and welcome to everybody on the panel here. It, it's The impact has been quite significant in the garment industry because there's been a basic tectonic shift away from garments in the stores versus online. It's been a huge shift to the online business, especially for garments. And it's also been the one of the effects of it has been concentration of the garment industry toward national brands. Okay, some of the small private label programs have really suffered. Walmart canceled $10 billion with a B of garment orders in China in March due to this effect. So now and it's the same for Western Europe, um, South Africa. I mean, most of my information comes through my primary client, which is Walmart, and their affiliates in these different countries in Japan, Korea, Central America, South America, the UK, and South Africa. So you've just seen a move on a big shift in the garment industry. So the net in this, I'll make this comment because I think it applies. But the issue that's mounting between the United States and China is causing a lot of these companies to start the process of moving their garment production out of China and toward other countries in anticipation that if Trump is reelected, it's almost certain that he will raise duties on all products coming out of China. So you're seeing some of that. Walmart just closed their Shanghai office, which is a primary garment office for Walmart. They do have an office down in Shenzhen that they're leaving open. Whatever garments they buy will probably be bought out of that office. And you just, so I think that's the net effect is that over the past few years as well, you've seen Walmart has moved, well, everybody for that matter, has started to shift some of their garment production into Central America. And that's also partially due to that. But a lot of it has to do with the shift in the garment industry, and the turnaround times and the lead times have changed. So that's a general overview on it. I'm happy to answer specific questions, but I think one of the opportunities that I spoke to Abraham about is the opportunity to transfer some of these garment industries to India away from, they're not going to remain in China. That's almost for certain. So where they're going to go from here, I mean, I started working with Walmart back in the early 1980s. And at that time, most of the garments were being produced by the I think they refer to them as the Five Tigers, Korea, Taiwan, Philippines, Japan, and those places, and Hong Kong. That all moved. Within 2 or 3 years, that entire industry transferred away from the Five Tigers right into China. So you're about to see, I think you're going to see that happen in the next year or two with China. So the question becomes, where is it going to move?
Thank you, Greg. That was very insightful. And I know COVID kind of expanded on all these problems and scared people off buying clothes and buying everything, and industry being shut off. And but I think it started off with the whole uh, duty stuff, which started with President Trump's exposing a lot of duty on China. Well, I would just like to at this time move on to India and ask Dr. Shakti Will about the scenario and the effects of COVID on the industry over in India. Dr. Shakti will take it, please.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. Nice to be here today. And Mr. Abraham, thank you. And thank you, Greg, for your good explanation on post-COVID. See that first COVID is brought a lot of crisis to our apparel industry, because immediately it started when the buyers started panicking, they started canceling, or they want us to postpone the shipment. So we went through a big crisis during that time. But thanks to our Honorable Minister of Textiles, Ms. Smriti Irani, has, along with the APCC, has appealed to all the buyers, please do not cancel the orders. And she made an appeal on a video to the buyers that by considering the long relationship, you should take the goods maybe a little later, but no reason should be there for canceling. So that helped us out, and we also wrote and we also talked to the many buyers, and many buyers understood our position, because we garments exporters, we do very uh, little margin, because our margin is always 4 to 5%, whereas our labor cost itself about 25 to 28%. By understanding this, because the laborers will suffer, all the buyers cooperated with us, and they started saying that we will not cancel the order, but please help us, please cooperate us to postpone the shipment. And we in turn also agreed to that. Then after the 1 month, then slowly things are changing, and the goods actually, especially our apparels, uh, uh, they needed, because the people are a buyer, the consumer don't want to pay more, but they want to buy clothes. So that way the apparel was started picking up. As Greg said, the online stores started picking up. So they started looking for India. This crisis became an opportunity for us when in February our PPE suits or PPE kits we are zero in production. But today we are proud to say that we do about 8 lakh pieces PPE suits, and we started manufacturing N95 mask and 2-3 ply mask and non-medical mask. So that became a big opportunity. We already started last 1.5 months, started exporting non-medical masks. The government has allowed to export PPE kits also, the suits also, and 2-3 ply mask also. So slow, as I said, this became an opportunity for us. Now we are #2 in the world to manufacture medical textiles. So where we were not doing any medical textile, now this became the opportunity for us. And in future, when I am seeing this last 2-3 weeks, we have started getting a lot of orders for making samples. So that shows that the positive sentiment towards India. Actually, Greg talked about the negative sentiment of China, but we find that positive sentiment towards India is increasing. Not only the buyers, I think that when you talk to the buyers, they were saying that even the consumers, they were looking for an Indian label now. So this is a good opportunity for us. And as I said, we started making samples. And definitely once we make a sample, it all become an order to us. So actually the season start for Europe and USA in September onwards. We hope that there'll be a good number of orders will come to India, and we will definitely utilize this opportunity. And we will be living to the standard of the requirement of the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shaktivel. I would like to have the next question on to Mr. or Dr. Vashisht, and ask him the same thing. How is the council, and how is the industry and the small scale and everybody getting affected with the effects of COVID?
Hi, good evening and good morning, everybody. I represent the Apparel, Made-ups and Home Furnishing Sector Scale Council. A council, this is an organization which works under the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Government of India. And we are predominantly, we are responsible for providing skilled manpower in apparel sector to the entire apparel industry in the country. So when we say making India as apparel hub, or whether the opportunity is there for India to become a kind of leader in apparel production in the world, there are two very important things which actually are needed. One is obviously making the infrastructure, better infrastructure for and modernization of the machinery. The second part is obviously availability of skilled manpower in the country. So this particular task of providing the skilled manpower to the country has been undertaken by the Apparel Sector Skill Council. Till now, we have uh, got 1.2 million persons skilled employed in the various apparel industries across India. And the this particular work is still going on. And in fact, we are there to actually ensure that in the coming days as well, the skilled manpower is available to the apparel industry as well. We also do the one more thing we actually perform this function. We not only make the fresh skilled manpower available for the country, we also upskill and certify the existing workers or existing workforce in the apparel industry by a scheme called Recognition of Prior Learning, RPL. Uh, Now, again, we have certified more than zero point 0.3 million persons who are existing in the apparel industry. Now, coming to this particular position right now, the COVID situation, incidentally in India, new situation has emerged whereby the workers, the skilled workforce has exited and they have actually migrated back to their native places, because all of them had come from various their native states to the cities. And incidentally, because of the COVID situation, most of them have gone back. This is a very, very big situation right now before the government, before the apparel industry. Apparel industry is working with lesser skilled manpower at the moment. So the Apparel Sector Skill Council is also at the moment trying to identify these migrant workforce which have gone back to their native places and skilling them at their native places itself, upskilling them, certifying them with the Government of India's certification, so that when they come back to the metro cities post-COVID, or even, in fact, many of them have started coming back also. So the apparel industry would get certified manpower. And by the way, this certification is granted on the National Skills Qualification Framework, NSQF. So a kind of a uniform or a standardized kind of skilling is provided across the country. So as far as skilling is concerned, well, we are really trying our level best to provide skilled manpower to the apparel industry. In fact, with one step we are achieving two goals. One, the apparel industry gets the skilled manpower, and since India has a lot of the population is very high, so unemployed youth also gets employed simultaneously. So these two things we are trying to wet the demand and the supply. And post-COVID, I mean, as I said, during the COVID situation, this migrant labor, we're trying to actually upskill them, provide them the certification, bring them back to the apparel industry. This is what we are actually trying to do. Please, thank you.
That is pretty, thank you, Dr. Vashesh. And I know Government of India and your organization is doing amazing work in skilling, and also especially in recognizing the prior skills and certifying people and giving them a new direction, which is amazing. And with all the new stuff that is going on in technology, I think all those things are becoming easier, and it's going to be a new boom market for India. So at this time, we would just like to take a 30-second break, and there is going to be a survey, a questionnaire for our audience. The panelists won't see that, so we'll quickly do that right now. So if we're going to throw out a survey that people can see on their screens, and I would like our participants to please participate in that real quick. And once we're done with that, I'm going to ask some more questions of our panelists and get some more insights on what India can do to become the new market, and what India needs to learn from what China did for about almost 20 years or more, 30 years, to be the leader in this space, and how India can benefit from what's going on internationally and with the market shifts. So let's go ahead and take the survey real quick and we'll come back. So we'll resume back right now. And Greg, I would like to ask you, we're having two bigwigs from India right now on our panel. And what I would like to know and ask of you is what India could learn and what could India do if India wants to really capitalize on this opportunity that is arising from a change in market. What are some of the things? So this probably would be a two-part question, and you can answer the first part first. Is from skilling wise, from an international standard point of view, what are some of the things that people like Walmart and others would be looking for, and not just with apparel, but concentrating on apparel, but overall industry? What kind of things would the international market require of Indian market, so India can compete with some of the other, as you mentioned before, five tigers. There might be more tigers on the way right now. So what can India do to to make themselves ready to compete or get an edge?
Yeah. Well, if you take the experience from China, let's just focus on the apparel for the moment. Um, if you saw a progression of the garment industry, and I will say specifically the fabric mills, moving away from, in the United States, a lot of fabric mills are located in the southeastern part of the United States, North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, places like that. China, within a short period of time, was able to close those down for the most part. And they set up some of the most extensive fabric mills in the world in China, which gave them the leverage to then move the garment industry to them. I would say even today, the garment industry that located in Central America, supplying the United States, is supplied their fabric by China because the mills are the key. So I would say the first thing to establish in India is what are the capabilities of the current fabric mills? Are they able to make these different blends of fabric, wovens, non-wovens, cotton blends, everything else that is currently being done in China and at a competitive price? I mean, my assumption is the answer to that is yes, they can. So, I mean, that would be where you'd want to start the first opportunity. The way the garment industry, as one of the other panelists pointed out, is the online business is going to thrive because all of the because of COVID, a lot of the small garment operations have all closed down. If you're a small retailer doing garments, you're probably not going to survive COVID. Most of them have filed for bankruptcy, going out of business. So you're going to be left with either the large big box retailers who primarily do either national branded products or low cost commodity garments. The rest of that industry is going to move online. So, the supply line for that would be, you're going to have two sectors. You're going to have the supply line for the national brand people and the commodity business to the large big box. And then you're going to have another sector that's going to be servicing the online, more fashionable type products that are primarily going to move to an online business model. So, I think you have to start at the grassroots and determine. I know India has a fairly robust fabric industry. So, but I don't know how diverse it is. Okay, I know they're one of the key suppliers for linens and products like that, even for Walmart. But I don't know whether or not they have the capability of providing these different types of fabrics for garments. So that's going to be an important part of moving that business to India. So,
Thanks,
and
Greg. Dr. Shaktivel, what are your comments on some of the things that Greg brought up, and how ready is India to take up this new challenge or opportunity, I should say? Dr. Shaktivel, I think you're muted.
Sorry. Yes, Abraham, what Greg is saying 100% right, that we are has to strengthen our fabric. Now in APC, we have did a deep study, and we find that what China and neighboring, that's Vietnam, all exporting to the US and the Europe, and HS code wise, we did the study. We find that a lot of man-made fiber garments is going out of China and these countries, and whereas India was mainly doing cotton garments. That is, when a percentage wise, we do only 10 to 12% MMF garments. So we started, but whereas our fiber strength and yarn strength for a polyester or viscose or linen, we are number 2 in the world. So now we have started talking to the existing fabric houses to go for a joint venture with Taiwan and Korea and develop a fabric to the international standard. Because once we want to start exporting mainly sportswear, loungewear, scientific wear, we need a good fabric, as Greg said. We are already on the started this exercise, and we are already, our mills are processing house started looking on this project, and a few mills have come forward to give the international standard fabric to us. So the future is going to be MMF garments. So we are concentrating on that, and we are sure, because we don't want to import anything because we have the yarn and fiber enough here. Only thing that processing has to be improved. And also we have a lot of processing houses. So we'll be utilizing this processing houses, and only we need a technology from, that's what I said, Korea and Taiwan is the best in technology of this man-made fiber garments. And also, as I said, the consumer also looking for to buy from India. The sportswear, loungewear is also going to be the future for Indian exports. So we started this exercise already. And also now, for some time being, we cannot able to market directly. So we are creating our own virtual platform in APC. And also we are going to participate in virtual fairs like Magic. And also in Japan, we are trying for next month. So the virtual fair will be participating, and very soon APC will have a virtual platform to showcase our product to the world. This is what the plan we are doing it, and we have started already.
Thank you, Dr. Shaktivel. So, Dr. Vishesh, are there any new courses being developed or any other new skill tests being developed to help with this? And also, are there going to be any other certifications that people would have to do post-COVID to prove themselves that they're COVID ready and things like that, that makes market more comfortable?
Yeah. In fact, let me first tell the House that India is actually ready to take on this challenge right now. And in fact, this work actually had started way back in 2015 itself, 2014-15, when this present government is very particular about bringing this skilling part, for the entire industry, and developing the skills for the entire industry. In fact, as if you see apparel, specifically as for skilling, in fact, the government started a separate ministry, And this is the skilling is the dream project. The Skill India project is the dream project of our Honorable Prime Minister. And at the moment, there's a cabinet minister and a state minister. There are two ministers specifically who are concentrating on the skilling in the country. So this is a very, very important part. Now, the best part again, as far as skilling is concerned, or the availability of the skilled manpower for the apparel industry is concerned, the best part is that the entire skilling is available absolutely free of cost to the end user. Whether they're studying in schools, they're studying in colleges, they're studying in even engineering institutions, or a special program. In fact, we have a very big, a flagship scheme called Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, PMKVY, which is a flagship scheme of the government of India to skill the people, to skill the youth for the various industries. So as I said, in apparel industry, apparel sector alone, we have got 1.2 million persons skilled and employed. And incidentally, who was the founder of our Apparel Sector Skill Council is, we are very fortunate to have him right now in our panel, Dr. Saktivel. Dr. Saktivel was the founder chairman of Apparel Sector Skill Council. In fact, you can, I'm not really exaggerating, but actually he can be termed as a father of Indian apparel industry. So perhaps that's why I think the government of India conferred the prestigious Padma Shri award on him for rendering a real big service to the apparel industry. So basically, as what I'm basically trying to stress upon is that, yes, the country is right now ready we have enough infrastructure ready. We have enough infrastructure to skill people. And incidentally, since the number of persons, number of the population is on a higher side, at the moment, that higher population is coming as a kind of asset to the country now. And so post-COVID, only difference is that post-COVID, right now, the manpower, a lot of persons had migrated to their native places. The efforts are now on, as I said, to upskill them right at their native places, certify them, and they can come back and join the apparel industry. So we are quite ready, in fact, as far as the challenge is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vajesh. So, Greg, I want to come to you at this point and ask you the tax reforms and the duties reforms which you brought up in your last comment, and most probably that's going to happen if Trump is reelected. And what are some of the new things we can see with this post-COVID too? Because kind of COVID took over this issue, and what do you see coming? And India has got great relationships with the United States, and President Trump, I think that was his last visit to a foreign country was to India before the pandemic kind of just took off, and they had a lot of agreements signed and things like that. So India and U.S. definitely have a pretty good relationship, which can be built upon. So what do you are some of the do you think that there's going to be some new tax levies coming on, and how can India get prepared?
Oh, yeah, thanks, Abraham. So permit me for a moment here. I'm going to give you kind of an overview and then define what I believe should be the strategic strategy for India to fill this space, okay, and why they're so well geopolitically positioned. Because what you say is absolutely true. The United States and India have become strong allies geopolitically, okay, and that's for a number of reasons. So I think the opportunity for India is right in front of them, okay. It's just how do we capitalize on this opportunity? Because this opportunity will not exist for too long. The Chinese are already making arrangements, as one of the other panelists said. They're moving some of their production down to Vietnam in places where they still have control over it. But you have to recognize that a lot of this is going to be perception, okay? India is probably the only country on earth that could absorb that garment industry out of China. There's no other place that could do it, not even Vietnam. It's over $1 trillion of business a year. So there's just not another place on earth that could absorb that. It's going to end up getting broken up to different places. So my history is with Walmart. Okay, I will tell you that Walmart loves turnkey options. What they want to hear is that we can take on all of this garment and we can make it work for you, and you won't miss a beat moving this out of China. That's going to require a few allegiances. Okay, the good news for China is because of their political positioning, the government and private business, or quasi-private businesses over there, work together. Okay, the government right now, the reason why a lot of the small garment operations in China have shut down is because the government is covering a lot of these duties. If you're a national brand like a Nike or somebody, the Chinese government are covering these duties for these companies because they want them to keep their business in there, and for the government to have to pay a couple $2 billion in duties to keep it there, it's worth it for them. The smaller operations, they don't have that luxury. The government's not helping them. So these people can't compete any longer. And so they're moving their operations down to Mexico, Central America. They're just getting out of China because they cannot compete. So we would have to propose a program that has the Indian government support for it, because the way the garment industry has evolved, at least in the United States over the past couple of years, is because a lot of these garments are seasonal. Okay, at least in Walmart's case, every season when they change over, you end up with requests for markdowns in order to move the inventory out of the retail operation. Okay, and so the obvious person to absorb that is the current supplier. Okay, not very many people could absorb that type of markdown if you didn't have a way to move that into the next project or the next set of orders. So that's why a lot of this business remains with the existing supplier. It's very difficult to break in. But because of COVID and because of what's going on, this opportunity exists to now move it to a reliable supply source, India in this case, and they would be in a position to take that over. Obviously, they would, whoever the suppliers are going to have to, are going to need some support from the government in the form of export subsidies, tax rebates and things like that, in order for them to be able to successfully compete. But because of the duties coming into China, I can't think of a more opportune time to do this. In India, from my perspective, okay, knowing how Walmart works, India is much better geopolitically positioned to do this because India is has much closer access to the European market and the East Coast of the United States. I mean, it's perfect. They're in a perfect position to do this. And if we can get a couple of key buyers of these product categories like Walmart, they could help drive that. So, and even we could start from a strategic standpoint with maybe one of our panelists talking about the skill levels of the workers. I mean, maybe we start this off as China did, with some of the low cost. I mean, doing, as an example, outdoor market uses a lot of canvas and products like that for shade, tents, things. I mean, that's billions of dollars of business with most people. And it's a very simple and very low cost product low skill levels to produce these types of things. So maybe the key is to take a look at some of these high volume, low cost, low skill categories, and not maybe focus too much on the fashion industry, which obviously is much more complex, sophisticated, and difficult to do. So, I mean, that would be my strategy, would be to say, let's try to position India as the key place to move this industry over to, okay, without any hitches. Most people, I mean, Vietnam cannot absorb this. They're not big enough. The industry is too big for Vietnam to absorb this. So, and you don't have the skill sets there either. And you know, places like Cambodia and Thailand and other places, they're just not set up geopolitically to do this. So, to me, this is a tremendous opportunity for India to step in, because they're positioned perfectly to do it.
Thanks, Greg. And I think we'll come back to Dr. Vashish and Dr. Shaktivel with this. And I think, Dr. Vashish, we should probably see if there are some opportunities for some joint certifications or things like that that could be done between India and United States. So some of because we're getting a lot of questions here, and people, some of the students who are part of learning, doing apparel technology courses and all right now. So that would probably become a big opportunity and give them a heads up, or give them an opportunity above the other candidates if they have some of these joint certifications that are international. Could be with the United States, also could be with Europe and other countries, which would help them to get an edge over the others. So how is the Sector Skill Council ready and for to do some of these joint ventures, and can you shed some light on that?
Yes, yes, yeah. In fact, we are very happy to announce that in 2017, in fact, this particular step has already been taken, not with USA right now, or with UK. With UK, in fact, this particular exercise has been done by the Indian government with the United Kingdom, UK, Australia, and Canada. But somehow this was formalized with UK government only. Now, what does this basically, the steps were that we have our national standards of skilling. This is called National NSQ, Skills Qualification Framework. And UK has their own standards. Like we have the sector skill councils working over here. They have their sector skill councils working over there. So these are the industry bodies there also and here also. Now, the government organized, both the governments organized joint meetings between these sector skill councils, which actually worked together and merged both the standards to make the transnational standards. So the transnational standards were created in 2017 with UK, and some work had been done with Australia as well as Canada. We are yet to do this particular exercise with US. Now, what does that mean? This means that once a student in both the countries, a student of UK also, student of India also, they can study on those transnational standards, and the other country would provide employment to those persons without any question. So the question is that the transnational standards are actually recognized by both the countries. The same exercise, as I said, has already been done with Australia and Canada. So it would be a very, very nice step if both the governments come together to start the transnational standards with United States and many other countries of European Union as well. So this, and we can, yes, we can jointly certify the candidates so that the same standards, the candidate, the skill sets are same in both the countries.
Thank you, Dr. Vashish. I think this could be a great thing, and for you to connect with Mr. Ruggles, also with Greg, and see how some of those things can be done, because I know India has done stuff with Europe, with UK, but US
Hey,
being probably,
Abraham, let me jump in for a second. I'd just like to comment. That's a great concept there. You know, early on at China, um, what there were, you had to work through government ministries in the beginning there, and then ultimately the Chinese government allowed things to open up, and you could work independently with the manufacturers themselves. But that took a while before that happened. But so we think, and the American government engaged the American Chamber of Commerce to get involved with a lot of these relationships, because American manufacturers, distributors, and retailers had no knowledge of how to work together, you know, any of the regulations, stipulations. And I would suggest that we engage them. They can be an important part of these trainings and certifications that we just talked about, where the responsibility wouldn't fall completely on the Indian government to do this. Okay, you could, like a joint venture almost, in developing standards, skill sets, and things like that, utilizing some of these U.S. agencies. So that could be a very strong way to move this project along more quickly, is to engage some of these American, even even the Department of Commerce would probably get directly involved with some of this. So I think that's a great idea.
thanks, Greg. You answered my question before I asked it. So put it in my
Great minds
question,
think
basically.
alike.
You answered my question. Yeah, great mind things alike. That's a good thing. Dr. Shaktivel, I want to bring up to you, PM Modi's vocal for local. How is apparel industry supporting that call?
Yes, Abraham, before coming to that, I'll just want to tell that Greg about the USA Indian is a good allies, and we can get things done now. It's a good moment for us. Actually, we have started requesting Honorable Prime Minister of India that we should immediately to go for a FTA with the USA. You are talking about the taxes. The taxes for, especially that when I talked about the MMF fiber or a garments, it is very high in USA. It goes from 27% to 35%. Once we have FTA with the USA, definitely the tax part will be taken care, and we have advantage to export this polyester garments to USA. Same way we are requested for UK and also Europe. So this dialogue is going on. So the tax part of will once take care and will be have advantage. See, the Bangladesh and Cambodia, Vietnam all doing because of the tax benefit they get it from Europe and the UK. So straight away they are cheaper by 10% because they don't pay the duty by the importers. So this is the exercise we already started through government, and our government is already started doing this. Now this vocal for, so this, see, when Handloom Week started on 7th, APC got involved very much on that. And there what we have done is all over India, we have put the posters, especially for vocal for handmade. So that has got a good response from all over India. And I can say that this exercise by the Honorable Prime Minister and Honorable Minister of Textile to introduce weavers to the world. Actually, we wrote nearly 5,000 buyers all over the world. We connect weavers with them, that handloom weavers especially, what handloom weavers can produce and how we can help the handloom weavers. So this project of Prime Minister of India and Ministry of Textile is working very well. And actually, as he said, we have placed this kind of thing all over India, and it's a good response. I can show this here, where we have put the poster all over India, the same poster, where our Honorable Prime Minister is there and our Minister of Textile is there. And I could get a lot of response on this, because now this is made people to realize how handloom sector is important for us. Not only that, we wrote to all our exporters and our counterparts and also to buyer. Especially, we wrote all our exporters saying that please buy one garment each and also ask your workforce to buy, because we have about 8,000 exporters as members and we have about 12 million workers with us. So each one buy one garment, handloom garment, that will be a huge for the handloom sector. So this is the exercise we appreciate, and we also part of this exercise.
That's very good. I know a lot of governments are doing that, and same thing is happening over here in United States when President Trump is asking to give more jobs to the locals and reduce the H-1 visas coming in. It's being, in a lot of ways, it's being mistranslated as that President Trump is asking Indians not to come to America. That's not the case at all. It's just saying that please employ the locals first and then bring foreign workers into the country. H-1 visa is not just for Indians, it's for everybody, any foreign workers coming into the United States. So, but I think some people are getting misinformed, but it's very well taken the way Indian industry is really supporting Prime Minister Modi on this scenario right now on supporting the local business. And I think India is so well situated right now on on to take up this challenge and this opportunity. You know, many times we refer to this as a challenge, but I think it's not a challenge, and it's a big opportunity which India has always been ready, and now it's a time to just get up, rise, and shine, and show the world what India can do. And I think with people like Greg, if you get connected and become conduit for helping and connecting, you know, India with U.S., especially the way Greg has been involved for 30 years, you know, building that bridge between U.S. and China. I think it's time when we hear things like what just Greg mentioned, the opportunities India has. I think it's very encouraging for me, being you know, being from India, and so I understand both sides of the world, and it's really exciting to see what India is up to and what India can really achieve. So it's going to be really great. I think COVID has become a situation, a place where all of this was, you know, all of us got a time to really breathe and rethink on how things are coming in place. Now, I want to also bring up a question to all the panelists: is anybody who thinks can take this answer, or we can all you know, spend a few minutes. We have you know, a few more minutes that we can talk about. And I want to bring up is saying, you know, what are some of the more flexibilities that India needs to introduce on the export houses, so that some of the small scale industry can also participate in doing the exports, and how they can do, or what are some of the efforts that are might be already in place that are there for the small scale exporters, small scale manufacturers to go ahead and take. Are there any co-ops or things like that built in already, or how can people really tap into that resource?
Actually, Government of India should immediately, I have talked about the virtual marketing, because the small exporters, they'll not be in a position to create their own virtual marketing space. So the India should have a carbon virtual platform for the small exporters to showcase their product, because the future is going to be for some more time that the buyers will not be traveling, we will not be able to travel. So the virtual platform should be created immediately. So government should, we are in APC, we are ready to work with the government to make this platform, as I already said. Once that is done, then small exporters can be benefited, because now the marketing is one thing that which small exporters are not able to do it. But with this kind of a virtual platform, definitely government can do it. And also, as I said, to encourage this MMF fiber garments, government should come for some kind of a, not incentive, some kind of an encouragement, so that people will start doing more MMF garments, where the small exporters also come into this. This is my 2 points for the government.
So Dr. Art, is the apparel industry right now looking for a virtual platform, or is it already in development? At what
So we
stage
are
is it?
already see the last 10 days, we have seen about 10 vendors to create our own platform. So maybe next week we are going to select one vendor, and very soon, within 50 days, we'll have our own virtual platform. And we first thing that we'll be having two type of things. That is, one is have a fair for 1 week or 2 weeks on the virtual platform. Then we are going to have a 365 days and 24/7 showcasing our product. And also we are going to select countries. Suppose you want to do a Spain, we'll have a 1 week for Spain, or France 1 week, like that. We want to do it that way also. And also we want to participate in the Magic and Pure London Fair and kind of international fair also. So we are in APC, we are working seriously about this virtual platform, and very soon, as I said, within 2 weeks, we'll have our own platform to showcase our product.
That's excellent. And as you brought up, people will definitely want to stay at home and buy online, but it also brings up the whole thing. And that's just not in apparel, but also in education and other places. Now people are getting used to, staying at home and getting things done. I think this is going to be the new normal. People have now realized that, people who were afraid of shopping online were forced to shop online, and now they see the convenience of it, and they see that it's nothing to be afraid of. It can be done. So I think that's going to bring a big shift, and that probably is a big help to India, because you can now really showcase your stuff, and you don't have to have a big showroom and all of that things set up, because now most people are getting used to it. Yes, Dr. Rashesh.
Yeah, I would like to add here that even in the skilling side also, the government has basically realized two things have happened. One, our national education policy has recently been announced, in which they have added, by the way, the skilling part right from 6th standard onwards. 6th standard onwards, people would be skilled and provided with the opportunity to get themselves skilled. That's one part. Second part is that the COVID situation, now everything is being conducted virtual. So even the training deliveries, assessment protocols, everything is now being shifted as far as possible, because 100% cannot be shifted to online or digital kind of mode. But government is very keen at the moment to shift the focus of skilling also to the online mode, so that as there's a restriction in movement of people at the moment, so maybe more and more people can be skilled and can be made available for the industry.
That's perfect.
Yeah,
So,
the comment on that, Abraham, is that using the China model, as a learning tool. Back when it started, you started working with ministries in China to begin with. Ultimately, what happened was you got private industry to work more directly through certain portals. And obviously, back in those days, online wasn't as sophisticated as it is now, or more commonplace. But China ultimately made the country user-friendly for small businesses, big businesses to do business in China, which includes, there's a lot of things that need to be worked out, logistical support, packaging, and, they even went as far as, graphic design, engineering, all these types of services were starting to be provided more and more by China and less by the US or European operations. So with online, I think we can accelerate that rapidly, okay, and maybe use, this group is obviously very knowledgeable of India and how to do business there. I think you could develop a strong portal through this council, this panel, to help American and European companies figure out how to do business in China. I mean, in India. So, because what our challenge is to make this user friendly and to help these people. I mean, China, it's not a coincidence that China is now the manufacturing site for most of the world. Okay, it's because it took years for them to develop all these support systems. And now knowing that, I think we can transfer that over to India as a new model and use our online to speed that education process up for everybody.
That's great. And this is more for Dr. Shaktivel and Dr. Vashisht. What are some of the programs being put in place for the survival of the SMEs? And at this time, would you shed some light on that? That's it looks like a very common question coming in from our viewers right now is what is being done for the survival of the SMEs, and what is any government intervention, is it going to be useful, or if it's happening already, or in what terms? uh, Dr. Shaktivel, you're muted.
Yeah. See, the government now announced this MSME policies. It's really helpful for the exporters because a lot of helping is given to the MSME exporters, and also in banking, in their marketing, all the ways that MSME ministry is taking a lot of effort, especially thanks to our Honorable Minister, Mr. Gadkari. He really works for the MSME. In APC, we had a very good video conference along with the Honorable Minister 2 days back, where he has said that he will support the MSME people by for the virtual marketing and also for R&D. So this help from MSC is we are looking for, and he has announced immediately that good laboratory for the and also R&D, so that small people can utilize this. And also, we in APC, we have conducted so many webinars for promoting these PPE garments. And also we have said how to go about in export also, because that testing standard is high. So we have conducted 2 seminars only on testing standard, and with the MSME also we aligned, we did this. And very useful information we are given to the people, because now the future, there'll be a good export of PPE kits and products, non-medical and medical. See, the isolation gown itself, there's a huge orders coming to India. So same way that blouses and mask and N95, the 2-3-ply mask, everything. So APC is already, as I said, we have created a platform, and we have created a division in our EP, that export promotion division in APC, to help only for MSME people. So anytime the people can approach APC, and we are also identifying the buyers, that is who are all importing, what are the HS code they are importing, with all these details we are having now. So APC will be holding hands and taking the small exporters to go for big exports.
Thank you, Dr. Shaktivel. Well, I think this was a very useful webinar. I'm getting really good feedbacks and on what we've discussed. I see there's a lot of bridges that can be formed, and it's great that we could all connect and talk about it. India definitely is going to has an opportunity to become the new hub for all exports for apparel and other goods. So it's really exciting times, and I think there's exciting times to follow. And I think this is a calmness before the storm, and there's going to be a good storm of good stuff happening over in India. So we're really excited about that, and I think it was very useful. So I would just like to thank Greg for taking time out on a Friday morning, and happy Friday again, and to do this. And thank you very much, Dr. Shaktivel and Dr. Vashisht, and the entire team at Bilasha Productions to put this together with Media Skill Sectors Council and all the viewers who are watching this. I hope it was useful for everybody, and I'm pretty sure we'll be doing more of these in the future and to get people informed and connected. But this was a great time, and thank you, everybody. And we're going to sign off at this time, and
yeah,
take care.
1 minute, Abraham, I should thank you for conducting this webinar very well, and you really picked up question where this is useful for the participants. And I should thank Greg for giving the saying that India is going to be having a big opportunity. See, he's the most experienced person in this field, and I should say that to Brishesh, that bringing Greg into the webinar is a good move, and it's beneficial all. And also, I should thank Brijesh and Insight 8 for conducting this wonderful seminar. I wish all the participants all the best, and APC is always at your service. You can always contact us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Please.